Chapter 1, I'm talking about whale sharks, sea shepherd, getting arrested, hypothermia, falling in love and giving birth in Indonesia. My quest for the ultimate sustainable barefoot lifestyle began in Exmouth, where I worked as a whale shark tour guide, underwater photographer and tour boat skipper. Knowing that people protect what they love, I hoped that by enabling positive encounters with amazing marine animals and providing information about conservation on tour, that people would be more likely to make positive changes in their own lives that would help protect our oceans. After a few years, I felt the need to do more. I wanted to play my part and do anything that I could do to protect the amazing marine animals that I'd grown to love so much. I volunteered as a small boat driver with Sea Shepherd France, where I was part of Grinstop 2014, a campaign to protect pilot whales against the mass slaughter in the North Atlantic. We were taken by the Danish Navy, chased down in the boat that I was driving by 12 naval officers at high speed in a very thrilling, exciting and terrifying chase. We were caught, strip searched.
We think the same about killing whales, eh?
Arrested and spent the night in prison. After such intense experiences in a cold climate, I decided to head back to the warmth of Indonesia, a country that I loved, for some freediving, yoga, and to meet the man of my dreams, of course. It seems I don't do things by halves, and falling in love with Silva was no exception. I dove headfirst into a whirlwind adventure of travel to remote locations, underwater adventures, photography, freediving, and starting my first online business selling underwater stock footage. As our love grew, so did my body, and by 33 weeks pregnant, we decided we had to stay put for a little while in order to give birth. We settled on Ubud in Bali, as a place to relax and await the birth of our daughter. We rented a villa in the rice fields, and we found our birthing centre just a short scooter ride away through the monkey forest. Bumi Sehat is a foundation for Indonesian women to give birth naturally and for free. As foreigners, we made a small donation to the clinic and were able to give birth to our daughter without pain relief and in the most natural way possible. After 144 hours of labour and 144,000 mosquito bites, our beautiful baby girl finally entered the world. Life continued in a somewhat domestic way for a time. We relaxed and recovered in some other rice fields, and life became all about finding creative ways of drying reusable nappies in 100% humidity. While the transition into parenthood was exhausting and somewhat of a shock to both of us, it didn't keep us still for very long, and by only 3 weeks old, Gaia had her first boarding pass. Most sane parents with a 9-week-old baby would be keeping their lives as simple as possible, but not us. We decide to go and travel to a remote island in West Papua and go and live barefoot with the locals for a while, giving our daughter her first swim in the ocean. Although we were about as far removed from the rest of the world as we could get with a small baby, the single-use plastic problem had already made its way to these parts, and our decision to raise our daughter in the most sustainable way possible somehow felt as though it was just never going to be enough. As we continued backpacking with a newborn, travelling to remote locations, washing our reusable nappies all the way, and trying to understand the best way to live, I had a feeling that there was more that I could be doing.
Berapa bulan? Berapa bulan? 3 kayak 2 sama.
A trip back to Gili Trawangan, the island that Silva and I first met on at the Summer Reggae bar, confirmed what I had started to believe. That living as a tourist was contributing negatively to the marine environments around me. That by my very lifestyle, I was creating a demand for single-use products that were polluting some of the most beautiful and remote marine locations in the world. So, we are in Sanua at Pondok Narita, which is the first place we ever stayed in together, Silva and I. And we stayed over there in that room. And now we are over here in this room. And there's all our stuff. All of our luggage. That's everything in 2 backpacks, and that is Papa Silvano and Bambino Galliano, and we're just waiting for our laundry. Whoa. We got a little express laundry so that we didn't carry too much baby poo on the plane. Yay! We're going to France. We don't know when we're going to be back in Indo. There is nothing sustainable about long-haul aeroplane travel, but with a French father, we took Gaia across the world to meet Silva's family for the first time.
It's gonna be the best dish ever, with the mashed potatoes, a glass of red wine.
After some time in the French countryside, for Gaia to connect with her roots, we boarded a train, headed to Spain, hired a car, drove down the coast to look at a boat that we couldn't afford, that we wanted to buy so that we could live on and create a more sustainable lifestyle. We are in Barcelona, with some crazy big shit and some big ass fountain roundabout.
The shape they've done.
There is Persimmon.
early in the morning, just for me.
It's okay. Bam, right in the city. Shit.
Yeah, I think you were right.
Let's get a little tour of Cartagena.
Well, that's a...
That's a beautiful marina. And a big man. So we're standing here. We are in Mazaron and we have no money, minus 18,000 Hong Kong dollar for me. And Crystal, I don't know. We're going to see a boat. And buy it.
Yeah. This is us on our boat, and let us show you around our new home.
Exactly.
I won't bore you with all the details of how two people in debt manage to borrow the money to buy a boat that one of them doesn't know how to sail. But somehow, a former whale shark photographer and sea shepherd activist come mother, and a barefoot digital nomad, Yogi, have managed to buy a 17-metre steel-hulled sailing boat and are planning to sail the world. Wish us luck.
For the way you did behave, you wondering now what to do. Now you do. This is it. You wondering now you will be for the way you did behave. You wondering now what to do. Now you do. This is it. Thank you, terima kasih.